Hey guys, welcome back to Adventures in Aviators in our snorkeling series. Today we're at Trou Aux Biches, specifically the Shea-Po-Po entrance. Where is a Trou Aux Biches? Well, it's in the Indian Ocean here in the small African island nation of Mauritius, where we have moved. But as always, we are going to rank this snorkel location on, well, location, water access, wildlife, water traffic, and facilities. We are so excited to jump back in the water with you all. Hope you follow along with our new series here in our new home in Mauritius. And of course, as always, we are going to rank on all of these categories from a scale of 1 to 5 manta rays.
5 manta rays.
So let's start off with location. Where are we on Mauritius? We're going to be up in the north, which is where a lot of the resort properties are, and the different resort hotels in Mauritius. There are some great beaches up in this area, and Trou Aux Biches is one of the best. So if you're coming from the capital of Port Louis, it's about a half an hour drive coming up, but it takes you about an hour to an hour and a half to drive all the way across the island. So depending on where you're staying, this could be close, but again, this is where a lot of the touristy properties are. It's also just about 5 minutes from Grand Bay, which is another key destination for tourists in the area. Now, as you can see, Trou Aux Biches is quite long, which is why we're actually going to do a couple different videos about this area. So today we're going to focus on the southern part of this beach here at Trou Aux Biches, which is near Shea-Po-Po. And if you're staying in this area, you'll definitely probably get to know Shea-Po-Po. That is one of the main supermarkets, and that is where we are going to begin our journey today. So Shea-Po-Po is right on the main coastal road. It's actually called Coastal Road. As you come up from the south, and it'll be on your right-hand side, the coast will be on your left, and as you can see, there's a main parking lot that's kind of gated in there, but then right next to that parking lot is a road, and that road continues on and becomes a bit of an alley pathway that goes straight to the beach. And this is the area that you want to find, so you can park right there on the street and then just walk your way over to the main beach area. So because it's relatively easy to find, it's close to many of the touristy locations. Although it's not exactly centrally located, I'm going to give this 4 out of 5 manta rays. Now when it comes to water access, I'm not going to complicate this too much. It's a beach. It's super easy to get in. We love it, especially coming from the big island of Hawaii, where getting into the water was a problem. You could just stroll right into the water here. It is easy peasy. It is so nice and calm in this area. Now, what is interesting about the west side of Mauritius is that you have this extended area that is nice and flat before you get to the actual reef, and then the drop off into the deeper areas. So this shallow area extends all the way out, probably about 100 yards in places. I'm going to go ahead and keep it in yards, even though we're now in meters and all those things, but it goes out for quite a ways, and you'll just see how amazingly flat it is. Lots of boats just anchor right along the shore, and they don't really worry about big waves or anything like that because the waves stop at the reef, and we'll talk more about that later. But this is the perfect area for any beginner snorkeler to get comfortable in the water. Because you can't get any easier than just a nice beach entry, we're going to give this the illustrious 5 manta rays.
5 manta rays.
So when it comes to wildlife, as I was just talking about, we've got this really shallow region that goes out to the break where the waves are breaking, and then you've got a deeper area. What I was really surprised about when we arrived is how much coral and fish actually live inside of the break, within this really calm area. So here you can find beautiful coral, plenty of fish. It's all right in front of you. It's nice and easy, and if you ever start feeling uncomfortable, you can just find a place to put your feet down, and you're gonna see all kinds of beautiful stuff. I just took a friend of mine, Samuel, out and taught him to snorkel just the other day, and he was amazed, and we didn't go but 50 feet from shore. So there's tons to do, tons to see if you're a beginning snorkeler. There are plenty of sea urchins in the area, so that's one of the main things that you want to watch out for that could be dangerous and is on the ground. And I should mention here that you do want to be careful, like very careful, of not running into the coral, which is very possible because it's so shallow here, but that coral can scrape you, can cut you. Of course, we would be damaging the coral if we run into it. But you want to be really mindful, and I'll just give you a quick snorkeling tip that it's counterintuitive. When you feel like you're too close to something, your body naturally wants to kind of push away from it. But when it comes to snorkeling in the saltwater ocean, you want to think flat as a board. Think like a surfboard, and that's going to help you stay up on the very top of the surface, and then you can just easily or gently move yourself away with your hands. So make sure you're mindful of the different coral that you might be stepping on, of the different animals that you might be disturbing. Be mindful of the sea urchins that you don't want to be stepping on, but this shallow area is awesome. Now, there's also an opportunity, which is why I go in here, to go out deeper. But this is for more advanced snorkelers, and I really mean people who are comfortable in the water, who are comfortable swimming through shallow, and I mean very shallow, places. The key to getting outside of the reef in this area is to find the little channels that don't have waves crashing. The worst case scenario that you can find yourself here is that you are getting rolled by a wave into all of this hard coral and rock, and it's going to get you cut up, you could get knocked out. I mean, it can be very dangerous very quickly. So the key here is to find the little channels that don't have those waves. Now down way to the south, you have actual boat channels, which is equally unsafe because of boat traffic. But there is a small channel here by the Shepopo entrance that you can find that takes you over the reef where it is very shallow. Again, you're going to have sea urchins within a foot or two of you, but you can swim it if you're comfortable swimming at those depths, and find your way outside to the outer reef, which is where there's a whole different variety of fish. The water is significantly deeper, anywhere between 10 feet and 40 feet. It's typically going to be clearer out there as well, but there is going to be more swell, and it's going to be harder to control yourself sometimes, especially as you get closer to the reef. So you just need to be really, really cautious if you choose to go out this road. The way to find this channel is, one, look for where the waves aren't breaking. You can actually see here on Google Maps there's a little spot where the waves are not breaking, and that is in fact the channel. As we came in from the road from Shepopo, it's just going to be off to the right. So I typically get in right there, I turn a quick right and I get in right there, and then I swim out to the right just a little bit, pretty much straight towards the reef, and then I just shade towards the right a little bit. On the outside of the reef, there's actually a yellow buoy that sits out there, which is a good marker to find, but that's just a little bit north or to the right of the spot where we crossed the reef. If you're looking back towards land, there's a big fake palm tree that's like a cellular phone tower or something out there, and that's going to be also just to the north of the area that you're going to be looking for when you're looking to cross the reef. So there's a couple landmarks for you. You've got the buoy and the cell tower. Those are both going to be just a little bit further north than the pass, or again, pretty much just straight out from where you came in on the road from Shepopo. But for wildlife out here, you can find smaller squids, you can find giant clams, we've seen turtles out here. There's of course the chance to see some other bigger things. I have limited success with that. The turtle has been the biggest thing that I've seen out there thus far, but I do know that there's rays in the area as well. Both on the inside and on the outside, you can see eels or just a whole variety of fish, but you are just going to have a bigger variety and bigger fish outside of the break. So when it comes to wildlife, because of the ease of seeing it and the opportunity to see a variety, I'm going to give this 4 out of 5 manta rays. Now for water traffic, this is one of the more popular areas on Mauritius. Again, there's lots of resorts in this area, but the actual people in the water tends to be limited. A lot of them tend to go on boats. So if you don't want to swim around a whole bunch of other people, this actually works quite well. It's a big long beach, everybody can spread out. But the one thing that you must be watching for is the boat traffic. Because as you can see here, there's boats everywhere, even just boats that are anchored. So don't run into the boats that are anchored. But then you need to be careful of boats that are taking tourists out and about, or for fishermen, or any of the boat uses. They are going to be driving around, especially in your mid-morning hours. If you get here nice and early, there's minimal boat traffic, minimal people traffic. All of that is great, but as you get into those mid-morning hours when the tourists have woken up and they're cruising around, there are tons of boats. When I went out the other day, it was about 10 o'clock, and all of a sudden there were 6 or 7 boats that passed by within about 1 minute. And I was just like, oh my gosh, and you just have to be aware. They should be watching, that's the captain's responsibility, but you need to make sure that you're being visible in the water as well. Because of the significant amount of boat traffic, I am only going to give this 2 out of 5 manta rays. Finally, we have facilities, and facilities is okay in this area. As I mentioned before, you do have a parking area nearby. I again suggest that you park on the road and not in the Shepopo parking lot. There are not going to be bathrooms nearby this entry point, however. That said, Shepopo is a big long beach, and there's a more proper parking area up to the north, and they have actual restrooms up that way. So you could walk a distance and find real bathrooms if you need to go to the restroom, but in this particular southern location, there's not going to be a lot of public restrooms available to you. So for that reason, I'm going to give this 3 out of 5 manta rays. So I hope that you're able to come and check out Trou Aux Biches and this Shepopo entry point. This is one of my favorite spots so far that I've discovered on the island. My buddy Dimitri and I come up here and have enjoyed exploring around this area. There he is. And I hope you have a great experience up here. Again, it's perfect for beginning snorkelers as well as really advanced snorkelers if you want to venture outside of the break. Please be careful out there. As always, please leave this better than you found it. Keep this spot beautiful for generations to come. If you have any thoughts or comments about this area, please leave them in the comments below, and of course, smash that subscribe button.
Smash that subscribe button.
And we'll see you next time.